All right, so let's touch on some of the things you got working on now. You can hint to some of the projects you're working on, instant collabs you got coming up with. Basically, just get more into your music. We won't pick apart what you got going on, bro. We want people to hear what you got going on.
Yeah, so the Motive 2 is out right now. We dropped that in November. It's a collective for Red Boy Entertainment. So what we're doing now is about to drop the deluxe on February 26th. And from there, it's going to be, nothing but singles, music videos. We're probably going to go for the next 6 months with this. I'm actually working on my album, my debut album under the name of BERRAN LEE. Everyone is asking, like they say it's a debut, as if I haven't had an album before, but I do. Year of the Youngest was my first album under the name of B. Lee until I changed it over to BERRAN LEE, so it's kind of like being reborn again, I guess. Just starting over.
What impacted that name change? What made you want to do a brand change?
Just growth, for real. I grew up as B. Lee, and to the point where you got your J. Cole, you got Kendrick as K. Dot, and then you got BERRAN LEE as B. Lee. It was just one of those things that made sense. And not to mention, there's like over 15 to 20 different B. Lees if you look on Google or Apple Music. So BERRAN LEE was a no-brainer, man. You type that in, BERRANLEE, and I'm the first thing that pops up. So it's great for marketing.
Now, you spoke on the shit you got coming out, the album your debut, that people say is your debut album. But I want to really get into your inspiration, maybe people that you listen to now or people from the past that you listen to, that really helps you draw inspiration for this new project you got going
on. I pay attention to those who kind of give me advice of, who I start to sound like. Not as far as like imagery, but more so of like substance. So my turn up music kind of gives more of like a Meek Mill, Ace Hood. My settle music of like R&B vibes is more K Camp. But as far as what I've been listening to, everything. And it's to the point where I don't even know if people would notice the inspiration behind the music when they hear what's in my car. Tokyo's Revenge is one person. XXXTentacion is another person. Ski Mask, the Slump Guy, obviously. It's just a lot of just that free music. I feel like when you go through that, it's almost like, man, the things that we think are cool are never just that simple of saying it's cool, so we're gonna do that. I think having the freedom to create is like awesome. So I listen to a lot of those free spirited ass music type artists. So it's good to listen to because I can get back into my own bag of saying, okay, I'm gonna try something different because I'm listening to something different already.
Now, something you would say to maybe a beginning artist or somebody who's thinking about getting into music, what would you basically say is something that helped you craft your sound or something you had to learn as an artist to stay away from as far as making music, maybe bad habits?
Don't be, of course you're going to be your own worst critic. That's a part of the game as far as being like a perfectionist. But at the same time, don't be so quick to downplay yourself. Know yourself, I guess, is the best thing I could say, and be consistent. If you can be consistent, you're going to last a lot longer than the next guy who's just, got the gimmicks going and the swag rap or whatever is popping at the moment, and when it dies down and you see they die down as well, you're already one up because it's easy to get on board and, when things take off, it's going to seem like it's so imaginary, like it's a dream come true. But staying afloat, that's the real nightmare. That's the hardship in which you really have to fight for it.
So I had looked up on your page when I had first got into your music, man, and we had seen the BET Cypher, the Freestyle Friday thing. Speak on that time period in your life where your head was at and basically what you felt was happening and maybe didn't happen the way you liked it or way you wanted it to go, and the things you took from it that you possibly learned from.
I'll never say things don't go the way I want it to go, only because I'm maybe like the last year or so, I've understood that there's no destination anymore. It's just enjoying the ride, enjoying the journey. So if anything, it was a great time. BET was fun, just driving 12 hours to New York, being able to freestyle on national television, and meeting like some dope rappers. I met like my battle rapper icon was Sirius Jones.
Ah, man.
I met him.
That's
He
a
was
serious
cool.
Jones.
DNA, I met him. He was cool as hell. And then you met like some dope artists too. D1, he's cool. I met Casanova. He's cool. And you know, just being in New York, the mecca of hip hop, it was something very honorable to be a part of.
Do you feel like that's something that really kind of helped you hone yourself as an artist? And you went back to the mecca of hip hop, as you said, and you have to basically see that and know that this is something that not a lot of artists get to do. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people get this opportunity. So that's what I wanted to bring you on here, man, is basically to bring spotlight to some things that people may go through, and you can kind of talk about those things, even positive or negative, with your music.
So with that, New York is always going to be like, kind of like home to me in a way, because having a stepfather from the age of 13 from Brooklyn, and then a mother from Atlanta, it's like you're already very diverse in a household. So going back to New York and saying, okay, now I see where the aura comes from with the person who raised me.
Right.
And honestly, depending on what kind of attitude you run into me with, you might get like a New York accent, you might get an Atlanta accent, or you might just have the pure, articulate, like I am now type accent. It just really depends on what I'm drinking.
Man. So we done went through a couple of things, the upbringing. We done went through some of the stuff you working on with music. Mm-hmm. Past things. You don't really have too many negative things to say about your career because I feel like it's all been a positive learning point and outlook.
Yeah.
So we can get into more so things like social justice. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you're somebody who is potentially a voice for that movement with the style of music you make and the way you carry yourself? Do you feel like you're somebody who could basically be another voice like a J. Cole or a Kendrick?
Oh yeah, I think anybody who has power of music within themselves can be a leader. You know, I don't take myself to say I'm important because I make it sound good. I say I'm important because I have a following of people who are paying attention to everything I say and do. So, you know, more so of not saying, you know, I see myself to be a leader, but I think it's every artist's responsibility to pay attention to what's going on in their front and backyard. So, you know, the injustice of Breonna Taylor still goes on here in Louisville today. There are still people that go to Jefferson Square, and you know, they're still out there as we speak. But for the matter of me being an artist, I can't be somebody that avoids that and tries to ignore it when I know in my soul it's not right. So I'm gonna speak about it, even if it is one song or 5 different rallies that turn into shows where I'm performing that song. And I've had interviews just like that where I get to really speak my point of view of the injustice. And you know, I grew up kind of in a predominantly white school, so racism is something that I took in and understood at a young age. Mm-hmm. But it also, I have no regrets of understanding my mom's ways of putting me in that predicament, because now I kind of know how to move in a room full of people who don't want to see you win. You still know how to, you know, hold your own and somewhat keep your military bearings, because both my parents were military as well.
Yeah, so speaking on the whole military upbringing, the way you promote your music and the way you market yourself is kind of militant. It's almost like you're on a structure. You got your branding, you got your flyer. You want to be, because even when we've done things, man, I can see that you want stuff to be scheduled on purpose. So.
Yeah. That's just me as a person. I mean, yeah, maybe it's in the subconscious of having both parents in the military and me being in the military as well. I was always late for everything, prom night, you know, birthdays and whatever, but I was never late for shows. I would always be early. So when they say be on time at like 8 o'clock, I'm there at like 7:30, where people ain't showing up until like 10. But that's also like, I don't know, like if I know what I want to do for the rest of my life, I'm going to treat it as such. It's almost like putting on the suit for the job that you want, not the job that you have.
That's a damn good quote. I heard that back when I was 18, and a guy had came in doing a job fair, and he saw me wearing a shirt and tie, and nobody else in the class was wearing a shirt and tie. And we had to for some football shit.
Yeah.
But he was like, man, I want you gonna have a job. If you 18, you gonna have a job because of the way you dress. It's already, you prepared for the job you want.
Yeah.
And you're not just wearing what everybody else is wearing in school. He didn't know that I was forced to wear that for football, but it felt good that somebody saw it and acknowledged what you was doing.
It was different power, you know. Especially if you didn't wear suits a lot. I know I didn't starting out, but now whenever I put on a suit, which is very rare, it's almost like, damn, man, I want to be in a position where I can wear suits almost every day because I want to, not because I have to, you know.
So some of the things that you like outside of music that can play a part in the music, whether it's hobbies, you like to go to the gun range, whatever it is. Name some of the things that you like to do outside of music, man, to relax yourself.
Well, I went to the gun range once. Pawned my gun ever since then. I need to get it back. But
man, I did that.
Man, but only because like when I'm in an environment, it's almost as if like when I sense no danger, I'm like, why do I have this gun? I have a 3-year-old daughter. I'm in a good space. I know how to work my hands. I did boxing, taekwondo, any self-defense you think of, I probably did it. But all of those things are hobbies in which, yeah, they kind of do come back to my music. I'm really big on anime. Dragon Ball Z, kid growing up to now. I don't know if you've heard my music, you've heard several references of Dragon Ball Z. That's my go-to. If not video games, I'm always talking about Street Fighter as well. My dad was a gamer, comic book nerd, and I grew up to that because of him. Marvel, definitely into Marvel. It's Marvel over DC every day that I live. Every single day.
Every day. I've never been a DC fan, bro. Like the movies, the comics, I could deal without it.
Yeah, my dad is he's like a comic book snob, a connoisseur, if you will. Where I'm like remembering when the first Iron Man movie came out, I'm like, Iron Man's my favorite superhero now, and he'll probably like one up me and be like, but you never really read the comics, so you're more of like a poser.
Yeah, that's what they always act like, and even with some of my friends down, bro, like. I can't keep up with as many comics and as many animes and mangas that come out right now. But it's more so that type of vibe and inspiration does help a lot of people, especially now you see the newer, more viral artists kind of have this anime-based persona, or they got some of their music style from this anime.
Yeah.
You know, and you say that even you have grew up on Dragon Ball Z. I mean, I feel like we all did. We was all doing the Kamehameha wave
coming home from school,
room.
Comes on in like maybe an hour or two on Toonami, and man, like I don't know about you, but my favorite episode was when Trunks appeared for the first time, and like you gotta remember, a fight between any villain and usually Goku would last like a whole 12 episodes.
It'd be like 2 months, it felt like, on TV.
Trunks killed not only Frieza, but Frieza's dad in like only the 15 out of the 30-minute show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think what they were doing is they'll build us up with this long story.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting beat up, and then to finish it off, they just have one dude come in, sweep him up real quick, just so they can get to the next one.
Oh man, definitely. Like,
because there ain't no way when Frieza was leveling up and he was just knocking everybody's heads off.
And they do the same thing now. Like,
yeah, he came from the future, and he's just like, better fighting.
Those overpowered characters, but even then, like after that, Trunks kind of fell back in the ranks when, you know, Cell came about and stuff like that. But I mean, Jiren, Broly, you go through all of those overpowered characters, and you're like, man, okay.
Who would you associate yourself with the most as a character?
Honestly, out of the Dragon Ball Z or just in general?
Just in general.
Bruce Lee. I think Bruce Lee was a philosopher that was ahead of his time, and it's, you know, even though he was in